we are opposed around the world by a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy that relies primarily on covert means, on infiltration instead of invasion, on intimidation instead of free choice, on guerrillas by night instead of armies by day. There is little value in ensuring the survival of our nation if our traditions do not survive with it.
All right, welcome to episode 143 of The Abuse Hour. It is I, your host, Coffee Long, coming to you unsupervised, unmedicated, and an unchecked threat to society. So, man, I'm gutting it out. I am getting by, narrowly scraping by on this this holiday stretch, dude. Man, I'm just gonna go around double wrong. I'm fine with being double wrong, man. I am not a fan of this action. But just the same, man, I'll gut it out. It's not like I can make it go away, so I'll just I'll do what I can. Anyways, some stuff to get to, dude. I'll give you some couple of story type things. I got some stories about some steak. I got some stories. I'll answer a question about the VA that came up a while ago. Somebody had asked me kind of about that process, and I blew it off for like 3 episodes. And every time I get done with something, I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot to. I always do things like that. I hate it. Anyway, we'll talk about that. We'll talk a little bit about some of the goings-on, including but not limited to the Russia thing and the Venezuela thing, which I think, yeah, there's a little bit to sort through. We'll also hit on the kind of the Hebrew kosher connection to all of that, and there's a little bit to think through, which is not a completely bad time. I think it's kind of enjoyable to think through some of these things and try to figure out what these little coin clippers are up to, but also to try to figure out where your advantage can be found, because I think there is advantage to find. We just have to think through it and figure out how to proceed. And then lastly, I want to hit on some ideas, because some of this stuff, man, it's I'll tell you, I actually recorded an episode. I did a coffee break a few days ago, and I just got so cranked up, man. Like I didn't even put it out, dude. I didn't even try to edit it because I was so pissed off, man. Like some of the stuff that I'm seeing, some of the things that are being said from people who are supposed to be looking out for you, and they're out here saying the things that they say, walking around like this. It's basically like, we're going to do our best to disarm you and put you under our thumb and lock you down, and it's going to suck, and you're not going to like it. And I'm like, motherfucker, you think you can roll like this? Motherfucker, you think you can hold me down? And, so I kind of started going down that road of, what if every night the NKVD went out with their list, they were worried they weren't coming back? And, we're not to that point, not in the U.S. yet, but looking across the pond, looking at these Brit-Bongs, man, it does no shit look like it's high time, dude. It's past time to start rocking and rolling. And I wanted to get some thoughts out on that, because I'll tell you what, looking at the, what do you call it? Like the, fuck do you call it, dude? The traffic and where this podcast gets picked up. I mean, obviously, this is not a major production and it's not getting picked up everywhere, but it is cool that there's people, like I see people in Australia are picking up, some people throughout Europe. And of course there is Brit-Bong land, which, I mean, if it was anything but white people in that country, you would read about it in the papers. You would see it on the news talking about human rights violations where people are getting rolled up for something they said on Twitter, people having their doors kicked in and dragged out of their house for a Facebook post. And catching, I just saw a video of one where some guy caught like 20 months for a Facebook post talking about, these immigrants, they got to go back. And in the meantime, you've got like legit violent criminals, like legit violent Somalians and Pakistanis and everything else they've got over there, just kind of walking around scot-free, doing whatever they want. And you're just kind of forced to live with it. So I'll get into some of the thoughts on that and how that kind of connects to you. So the first thing I wanted to get to, I guess, is this Venezuela situation. And if you've kept any kind of eye on this situation, the way it is now is that there is an ass ton of military presence off the coast of Venezuela. And there appears to be something of a green light for just hitting any kind of vessels that they're going to say are drug trafficking. How exactly they are doing this, I can't say, I can't see. But it does. All of this does raise some questions because I'll tell you what, you look at this and what you see being reported is the idea that, yeah, there's drug traffic or whatever, vessels connected to drug trafficking organizations moving around off of the coast of Venezuela. So the U.S. is going to hit these boats and thereby conceptually weaken this organization. Some of the problems with that, man, straight away is you can come and say, you could say, hey, there's too many drugs in the U.S. There's too much traffic coming in here. We should do something. We should do something about it. I'm fine with that. Let's do something about it. I think most people would say I'm good with that. Let's do something about it. But what you don't see is you don't see much of a crackdown in the States. You don't hear about much of a crackdown at the border insofar as we even have a border. I mean, apparently, if you can make your way from Venezuela just to Mexico, then you can just walk in here with whatever you want, I guess, because that's really never been a point of concern. I mean, we know that we share a border with a narco state headed by Jewish politicians who, by every account, is hand in glove with the cartels there. I mean, I guess, I don't know this for certain, but my understanding was that it was an unprecedented number of assassinations, political assassinations, prior to the most recent presidential election in Mexico that saw this Claudia Sheinbaum get ushered into the presidency in spite of being only whatever it's like 0.0 something % of the population. Surprise, surprise, she's Jewish. Yeah, okay. And, nobody really bats an eye at that. But instead of looking at that, or instead of looking at any of the other avenues of approach, we're going to go all the way down to Venezuela. You could try to make an argument that just like cocaine came from Colombia, maybe this is coming from, I don't know what that picture looks like because it hasn't been laid out so far as I'm aware for anybody. That what is going on in Venezuela that makes it so important to go down there. The second piece of this thing is that, okay, let's say you figured out that there is something going on in Venezuela, that you can impact negative things happening in the U.S. by striking in Venezuela. How is it effective that you're hitting these little guys in little boats? If you were already saying, see, here's the thing, is if you go and you say, I've recently authorized the CIA to do X, Y, and Z in Venezuela, what that kind of tells me is that you weren't previously doing that thing in Venezuela. So I'm sure there was a presence there. I'm sure there was some kind of strategic level intelligence collection effort in Venezuela. But what I don't know is whether any of that connected to drug trafficking or counter narcotics. Maybe on some level, but I don't imagine it was really anything anybody was too terribly focused on. Otherwise we wouldn't be hearing about this now. So you've got these people then that, okay, I'm going to go in here. Now I'm going to start focusing on counter narcotics. Okay, terrific. How long has it been, though? It hasn't been too long since we started focusing on this. And quite honestly, this is something that takes a while to put together, this kind of thing. Any kind of network, any kind of relationship where somebody's going to say, yeah, dude, I'll tell you about this, that, and the other. Or where you even figure out, what do I need to know? And then you make a friend and they go get information and they come back to you. This shit takes time. And there hasn't been time. But again, let's play like there was. Let's play like they had some of these moving parts in place and they got down there and they got to it and they're figuring out what's going on. Okay, well, what kind of actions are you taking? Are you taking actions on the ground? Are you assassinating key decision makers? Within, say, I don't know, Tren de Aragua? Are you doing that? No, you're not doing that. Are you disabling production facilities? No, you're not doing that. Well, what are you doing? I'm hitting these little boats carrying something. What are they carrying? I don't know. Nobody seems to know. How do you know those are even drug boats? Nobody seems to know that either. How are you identifying the boats that you're saying are targets that are connected to this organization or that are just doing something that's bad for America? Nobody really says that either. I mean, I see this stuff about look, he's got these big 55-gallon drums in here. This is only drug-making material. That's all this could be. Okay, so you say, one, how do you know that that's even what it is? And two, how do you know that those aren't just empty barrels? Maybe he is connected to that organization and he's just going over there to pick something up. I don't know. Nobody seems to know, and nobody seems to say anything about this. And I can appreciate you don't want to give away, some trade secrets or any kind of inside baseball, but you got to give something, which kind of leads to the last point on these particular claims, is the idea that that you got any kind of green light to be going and doing this kind of thing anyway. Because typically you can't go around killing people in foreign countries without some kind of declaration of war. The international community tends to frown upon that kind of thing. Now, granted, I know that like your Obama did this a lot, just like I'll just smoke whoever, like lots of drone strikes, even hit some Americans, which again, like you're an American, your government gets to decide like, yeah, I can just kill you if you piss me off. If you're in a war zone, and even if I know you're American, I just decide I don't like you. Even if you're in a country we're not at war with, I'll just fucking hit you. I just don't care. Okay, it was fine then. Apparently it's fine now too. Because, typically what you would see, I guess, it would involve something like a presidential finding, kind of like the Osama bin Laden thing. We're not at war with Pakistan, right? Even though we're doing something right next door, we're not at war with Pakistan. You can't be there. They're going to get pissed off, right? But there's a presidential finding, right, that we strongly believe that this Osama bin Laden character, whether you believe that that guy was involved or not, which, I've got my questions, but we can ride that horse a different day. But let's pretend again, like a lot of pretending here. Like, let's pretend that this guy was the guy and we got to fucking get him. So we strongly believe this guy is here. The president says, okay, I know we're not at war with Afghanistan, but I'm no shit serious about this. We're going to fucking do this thing. I'm pulling out my presidential trump card. This is fucking happening. So off you go. So now you've got this situation in Venezuela where you're killing people in a country that you're not at war with, and you're killing them in, I don't know if this is international waters or Venezuelan waters. Either way, it's not really something that the rest of the world is going to be cool with. But they're doing this shit anyways. And again, they're saying they're doing this anyway. They're saying they're doing it. They're saying it's on the level, but they're not really giving you anything to hang a hat on. Once again, I can't say for sure whether this is really even happening or not, because it wouldn't really surprise me entirely if like this was entirely made up. Like, yeah, there is no such thing. None of these boats actually exist. This is all AI. This is all bullshit. And on the flip side of it, then there's, like if Venezuela's getting pissed about a thing that's not actually happening, that would actually be a little bit funny. But I digress. So if there was a presidential finding that, yeah, this organization is a problem for the U.S., bad for the tea and biscuit company, I'm going to take action. I don't give a shit what anybody says. Okay, well, that would sort of suggest that you should have a little bit of visibility on it. But now you've got this situation where you've got the head of SOCOM, and Admiral Frank Mitch Bradley. And allegedly there was a situation where they do this hit on a boat, and I'm guessing it's like, I want to say drone strike. I'm guessing drone strike. I don't know for absolute certain, but that's what I understand. Did a drone strike on this boat. There were some survivors, so the dude does a follow-on and like, yeah, I'm going to smoke these guys too. Now there's like some finger pointing because this gets out, and there's finger pointing about, well, no, I didn't really do a follow-on. Or if I did do a follow-on, it was because Pete Hegseth told me to do a follow-on. And then there's Pete Hegseth saying, well, no, I never said anything like that. You're just doing what you're doing. I just told you to take care of it. And whatever you do is you do. If you did something fucked up, well, that's going to be on you too. And then when they interviewed Donald Trump a few days ago, there was some press conference, and they asked him about this, and he's like, yeah, I don't know anything about it. Like, okay, well, wait. It's great you can say, like, I don't know nothing about nothing. But if you don't know what's going on, then how the fuck is this happening? Because this shouldn't be happening if you're actually in charge. If you're not deciding on this, then who the fuck's deciding on this, right? Because if there's not a presidential finding, well, then this is what? This is like unilateral action by who? By the military, by the Secretary of War, or who? Because we're not at war with Venezuela, not yet anyways, which also, this is very sticky wicket, right? Because check this out. Here's kind of my thing. I kind of think that this situation with this Admiral Bradley is kind of a test fire to see what the people are going to say. Because you know how the deal is, that like people are going to say, hey, support the troops, right? And now everybody knows that Donald Trump has basically bought and paid for all of his people that he's got in all of his cabinet positions. These people are basically lackeys. Fucking Hegseth is a talking head off fucking Fox News. This guy is not a brilliant mind, not by any stretch. Everybody knows. They know that people are sick of this shit, and they know that they're just doing Israel's bidding, and they're kind of on borrowed time. But I think this is kind of a test fire to see, like, what are people going to buy? What are they going to be cool with? So if people are still willing to go with, well, you know, he's a military guy, and if it was his decision, well, they, you know, support the troops, you know, and I'm not on the ground, and we'll just see. And if people are still going to do that, if people are going to still say, like, yeah, okay, well, then maybe we kind of tailor the message to say, like, okay, well, we got to do this, this, and this because, hey, that's what the guys on the ground are saying. That's what the people in theater are saying. So, you know, it's not my fault. It's not the Secretary of War's fault. It's not Donald Trump's fault. It's these guys. You know, it's not really anyone's fault. It's just what, you know, what the troops are saying. You support the troops, don't you? On the other hand, if people are going to go, yeah, no, this is fucked up. If, you know, if this was Hegseth's decision, then war crimes. If it's this admiral's decision, then war crimes. We want to see heads roll. Then maybe they rethink that. But the impression that they're giving is that they are seeing what they want to see, because at the most recent press conference that he gave, Donald Trump is talking about, yeah, here before too long we might start seeing more kinetic strikes within Venezuela, might see boots on the ground. You know, so they start talking about what might happen. That's pretty much like, yeah, this is probably going to fucking happen. Not an especially good deal. But looking at the possible hows and whys of something like this, I think, you know, there's a few moving parts. The drug thing, I don't buy this for a second. I mean, this is Gulf of Tonkin action. Like, somebody shot at one of our boats. We need to invade and spend the next 10 years over here horsing around. Like, no. This is about something much, much else. So they're talking about, oh, my drugs, dude. Let's be realistic here. Venezuela has the largest oil reserves in the world. As I understand it, larger than Saudi, larger than Kuwait, larger than Iraq, larger than any of this shit. So when you're talking about, you know, you think of like oil sheiks, you know, shitting on gold toilets and this kind of thing, Venezuela is head and shoulders above that. Venezuela has got a shit ton over there. And the environment generally is a little less hostile. I mean, if you've never been to the Middle East, dude, it sucks ass. I mean, you understand real quick why does it seem like people are so lazy and nothing ever gets done here? You know, you got to be there like a couple hours before you're like, oh, it makes sense now, because it is miserable. Dude, the very first patrol I did in Iraq, man, I made the mistake of wearing all the shit, dude. They'll give you like all kinds of body armor and side plates and shoulder plates and like the catcher's mitt fucking groin protector thing, like all this stuff, dude. And I made the mistake, like, first patrol out, we're going to go in the middle of the day. I never been here before. You know, I don't know what to expect. And it's like, all right, I'll throw all this shit on and see how it goes. Dude, it was like 10 minutes in, and I was just walking like shady spot to shady spot. So like even, you know, where there's like palm trees, I would kind of like bounce between shady spots. And I'm like, dude, if we get shot at right now, I'm falling down right in this shade. I'm going to die, dude. Like if we had got shot at, like I would have died of a heat stroke before I got shot. It was rough. So you start figuring out real quick, like it's miserable here. This sucks. Venezuela, yeah, it's near the equator. It's going to be hot, but it couldn't be worse than the Middle East. So looking at what they've got there, man, you got to be honest with yourself. Like, what is this about, dude? This is about the fucking oil. And I mean, I know we say that stuff about, you know, when like we're talking about Iraq, we're talking about, you know, Iran, all of this. That's, you know, people say that, but did you get any benefit out of this? I didn't see a dollar out of that oil action. I don't know if anybody else did. But over there, you've still got like the Israel thing. Like, why are we over here? Well, you're over here to soften the region, to facilitate Israeli expansion and Israeli control. All right? That's the only reason you're over there, not to exploit the oil. But looking at this, then it sort of begs the question, if you will, that like, what are we doing over here? So if you were going over there to get the oil, if you're talking about Venezuela, are we going to go over here and get the oil? Is that a doable situation? Because now you've got the situation of, okay, we can get it. How do we get it from there to someplace it can be refined and then out the door to sell? And two, I don't even know exactly what kind of oil they have there, because I don't know too much about oil, but I do know that there's like different kinds that get used for different things. So even where like you've got the stuff that you get out of the ground in the Middle East, stuff you get out of the ground in Texas, stuff you get out of the ground in Russia, a lot of this stuff, it will get moved around. So like stuff from Russia will still come to the U.S. to get refined, but then it'll get shipped away again and sold someplace else because it's not the same kind of stuff. So like not all oil is the same, apparently, as much as I know about it. But so what is this stuff good for? What can you do with it? With as much as they have, I'm going to go out on a limb and say it probably doesn't fucking matter too much, because there's a whole lot of it. That also begs the question, though, of do we just want to keep it in the ground, like as, something to hang on to, something to protect, and now we got access to this if and when everything else runs out? Because now you got to ask yourself, well, what do we do with the Middle East then? Should we keep trying to use theirs until it starts to go dry? And then they're kind of on their ass, and now Israel's there and surrounded by countries that have just basically flopped. Or do you kick this thing into gear knowing that the Middle East is kind of on its ass because we beat the shit out of like literally everybody there? And now do you move down here and like you stand up your own thing, you get production going, and now you sell out from under them? Like everybody's coming to you now, and these guys, they're shit out of luck. Do you do that instead? I don't know. I think whatever starts happening as this moves along is going to tell us a little bit. Along with that is kind of what is happening with Israel, and that's been interesting over the last few weeks insofar as, at least nominally, at least the things they're saying, is talking about, we want to stand on our own. We want to break away from the U.S. We don't want to be dependent on aid. So their version of dependent on aid is, hey, maybe we sign some kind of deal where you're going to give us a few $1 billion every year for the next 20 years. No shit, I swear to God, this is what they're talking about. We want to sign this long-term deal, and you give us this, and then we're going to be out of your hair, man. Just another 20 years, and then we'll be done. Like, get the fuck out of here. But between that and then the idea of talking about wanting wanting Jewish people, Jews to come home, bunny ears, come home to somebody else's house, come home to Israel. They're talking, I heard this thing this morning, who the hell was it, dude? It was a few different Hebrews this morning that I was listening to. But they're talking about like, oh yeah, all these great minds, coming home to Israel, and we're going to be putting out tech, and we're going to be coming up with all this stuff, and we're going to be doing business, and we're going to open a market, and we're going to be ready to move into the number 2 spot. I mean, there's going to be Wall Street, and where London is now, that's going to be us. London's going to get pushed to number 3, and we're going to be on the way up here in Israel. And for one, you got to say like, okay, wait, are you going to be on the way up? Or is it that London is just being dragged down by all of the Muslims that you people have been shoving through the door over there? But the guy goes on to say like, yeah, we want people to come home to Israel because, immigration, the right kind of immigration, he says, and he says this is the thing, is the right kind of immigration. Well, that's good for, for our society. And now you got to kind of look at this for a second. Like, are you people so fucking tone deaf? Like, are you tone deaf, or are you just kind of shoving it in anybody's face? That like, yeah, for us, we want quality people moving into our country, people that are going to boost this place. We want rocket scientists. We want brilliant minds coming to live in our country. And obviously not anybody. You want the brilliant minds who also happen to be Jewish, which I don't know where you're going to get a Jewish rocket scientist from. Maybe like a Jewish pyramid scheme technician. I could see that. Jewish insurance salesman. I could see that. Jewish landlord. There's probably a lot of those. Imagine like being in Israel and you got a Jewish landlord, obviously. And you're like, this Jew son of a bitch, he keeps banging me up on this rent. Fix the fucking pipes. Fix the faucet. Why don't you? What is it with you? God, and you want to move, and then you're like, where are you going to move? You're going to move into some other apartment? You're going to have a different Jewish landlord? Can you imagine this, dude? That's got to be torture, living amongst your own people like that. But Yeah, they're talking about, yeah, we want the right kind of people. But what's interesting is how different the message is compared to what they'll tell you. Because in your country, they're talking about, no, dude, no, you see, it's like it's magic dirt. You just get anybody to move over here. Get the nastiest, dirtiest Somalian taxi stealing son of a bitch and get him over here. He's your next doctor, right? He's your next heart surgeon. That's what he is. This guy's brilliant. Get him over here. And you've been hearing this since, I was hearing this when I was in kindergarten, for crying out loud. America's a melting pot. It's people from everywhere. Give me your poor, your wretched refuse. Give me the stupidest sons of bitches you can find and send them over here, and you watch what I can do with them. And you got so much pride, you're so stupid that you actually buy it. You're actually like, yeah, it's going to be great. Go ahead, send them over here. Watch what we can do. We're going to win Olympic medals and fly to the moon. Get the fuck out of here, man. But it's only just now that people start figuring out that, oh yeah, that was a scam. That was a coin clipping scam whereby you send the worst possible people you can to my country. I spend time paying for them. And who is it that mans the mechanisms by which those people are kept alive? It's Shlomo and his friends. And every nickel you put in, they're going to be shaving the edge off of it. You're going to be dumping those nickels into a bottomless pit of Somalian crime, and out the door they go with whatever's left of that nickel, which is interesting because some of that Somalian crime, Donald Trump is giving the lip service, always the lip service. Like, I expect zero from this clown at this point, but talking about these Somalians are not good people. They're not good people. They're not very criminal people. Have you seen their country? How bad their country is? It's a terrible country. Why do we bring them here? They don't belong here. Don't belong here. They should go. But he's saying things like this, and yeah, no shit, stupid. We all know this. Everybody knows this. Ilhan Omar, not a good person. She's a bad person. Married her own brother, I'm told. I can't believe. We'll have to find out if it's true. We're looking into it. We're going to look into it. Yeah, okay, look into it. But this guy's even giving lip service to it. But for my money, I think the mustard started coming off the hot dog with that Shiloh Hendricks situation. Because, initially the question was, and she's actually getting charged with, like, disturbing the peace or some kind of, you're going to have to go to court for this, dude. But whatever. I think with her $1 million, she's probably going to be able to get over. But initially, the thing was about the guy that was recording and how the guy that was recording Shiloh Hendricks was a sex offender. And, like, what kind of world are we living in where a sex offender hanging out at a playground by himself records a white woman being hassled by a young nog, and she's the bad guy in all this, So that was kind of the initial point of concern. But then people started, the blue-haired crowd started talking about, how this poor boy that she was harassing just for stealing from her was actually autistic. He was an autistic 6-year-old or some such thing, which sort of raises the question of what is an autistic 6-year-old doing at a playground by himself? And we never really got a follow-up on that. But what we did get a follow-up on was the scam, the autism scam not in Somalia, in Minnesota, like in Minneapolis, in and around Minneapolis specifically. And the number of autism counselors and autism treatment centers and people diagnosed with autism, it went up over the course of just a few years by like 100-fold, several hundredfold. And when people start looking a little bit closer, what they figure out is that, what do you know about this? These Somalians, being both very stupid and very conniving, are taking their kids in there, and because their kids are borderline retarded, they can go in there, spice it up a little bit, and say, like, yeah, my kid, it's not his fault. He's got this, and he does that. And then probably some Somalian or benevolent ear is going to say, it sounds like your kid is autistic. Let's get him into an autism program, and that's going to get a little more funding for some more autism counselors, and we're going to bleed this state dry. So the number of the autism business, if you will, in Minnesota just went right through the roof, man. It went nuts. And finally people start looking and they're like, yeah, this is just a scam being run by Somalians, dude. Everybody's saying everybody is autistic. And, they're taking advantage of it. They're getting paid. And then a shit ton of money goes out the door back to Somalia to fund Al-Shabaab. basically a terrorist group or a Muslim separatist group, whatever you want. So it sort of raises that question of, well, who really is the problem here? Because Somalians are going to do this. If they had an autism program in Somalia, they would do this in Somalia, right? They don't have that there. They have it here. They steal what they can. They murder where they can in Somalia. But you come here, why do I have to murder anybody when I can just say I'm autistic? And now I get paid for that instead. But it kind of becomes a question, man, of like, who is the bigger criminal here? Like, the actual criminal who they're going to do what they're going to do, they're Somalian. They're going to behave like Somalians. What do you think? Or is it the people who brought them in there? And the people who facilitate this kind of thing saying, yeah, this is going to be good for me, man, because now I get to manage like 20 autism counselors and my pay is going to go up and all these people are going to get jobs and the funding's going to go through the roof. Hooray, hooray, me. So it's all these people just bleeding this system dry, the people that let these people in, the people that facilitate this hoax. And at the end of the day, who's picking up the tab? You are. And if you live in Minnesota, you're probably getting it worse than just about anybody. That kind of leads into something else that got brought to my attention the other day. And a dude hit me up. About something that is apparently available through the VA, and this program is what exactly the program is. It's like housebound status or permanent need for regular aid and attendance, and I don't know exactly the letter of the law of exactly what all that entails, but essentially you're going to get online and you're going to fill out VA Form 2680, and essentially this is talking about I need help cooking, or I'm blind, or I can't go to the bathroom by myself, I can't walk by myself, I can't dress myself, which is something you would expect to see with like, a guy was fighting, rice paddy to rice paddy and just getting smashed, stepped on a landmine, can't see out of one eye, blind in the other, missing a hand, hook for the other hand, one leg, wooden leg, whatever. And this guy needs help, man. And he went out there and he hung it out. And now, the guy needs help and you're going to get your disability money. But, dude, I need actual somebody here, like, to help me out, man. I can't do shit for myself. There's people like that, sure. But apparently this is a thing that dudes are getting, that dudes are signing up for. And a dude hit me up on this because there are things like this that you hear about. I'll tell you about a couple more of them in a minute. But a dude hit me up on this and was like, hey, have you heard about this? And I'm like, I don't know. Like a dude that I knew. I didn't work directly with, but I like knew people who knew this guy. Like we're, same page. So a dude hits me up. He's like, hey, have you heard of this? I'm like, I don't know nothing about this, man. What is this? And he kind of tells me what I'm telling you. And I'm like, okay, yeah. I mean, yeah, it sounds like it's one of these things for like old dudes that are busted up. And he's like, no, dude, like a lot of guys are getting this. I'm like, guys like who? Like guys like you? Like guys like me? He's like, yeah, like guys that we were in with, or like you sign up and you get it. And essentially the idea here is you'll get some physician to sign off on it. And then you will get like a statement from your significant other or from someone who's serving as your caretaker. They're like, yeah, this guy can't walk. This guy can't barely see. This guy needs me to cook for him, needs me to wipe his ass. So I got to be here for him. You submit all this shit and then they'll come back. They'll give you like $1,000 a month. And I'm like, okay, that's cool. I mean, I guess, but then, well, first, let me say that like, in a lot of these situations, it's not like you're taking $1,000 from some other guy who's now not going to get $1,000. That's kind of part of it. But the other part of it, man, I look at this, I'm like, I don't know, dude. I'm like, I'll stretch a little bit. Like, I'll stretch the truth a little bit maybe to like, you're going to describe like how bad is the pain in your back? How bad is the pain in your shoulder? And, when you go to medical, when you get some of this shit figured out, they're like, not right now today, not like what can you suffer through, but like at its worst. When you're at your worst, how bad is it? Oh, I see what you mean. But this, I'm like, dude, I don't need help taking a shit, all right? I don't need somebody to cook for me. I can see just fucking fine. Well, fine-ish anyway, right? I feel dodgy. And, it's like the thing where guys tell you that, bro, you're not stealing from somebody else. You're only taking money from somebody who took years of your life from you. And I'm like, yeah, I appreciate that. But like my white man sense of decency and dignity gets to me. I'm like, I don't know. I don't know if this is for me. I don't know that I feel all right filling out this thing. But the thing with this, man, so this, this I'm going to probably take a pass on, but apparently dudes are getting this. And there's like a couple levels to this, I guess, and I haven't looked into what all levels there are. But basically, there's levels of like, hey, I need a hand around the house because I'm a little bit fucked up. I can't walk so good. I can't cook so good. I don't see so good. I need a little taste. I need a little something to pay somebody to help me out. Then there's two more levels beyond that. That's like, I need constant fucking help. And then a level beyond that that's like, I'm barely fucking alive. I need somebody in here holding my hand non-fucking stop. So I don't know if you've seen any of those clips. Like there's a clip that was going around for a while where they're interviewing some fucking guy, and I don't know where he was or what he did. I don't know, where they're interviewing him. I don't know if he's in a wheelchair or he's missing his legs in both his hands or what. But the guy's interviewing him, and the guy comes across as normal enough. And they're talking about, well, so every month, like, what are you getting for money? And he's talking about, like, I'm getting like $9,000 a month. And I'm like, what the fuck military were you in, man? I ain't getting no fucking $9,000 a month. I know that. But I look at it now, and it's this program. So I don't know how dudes are doing it, but I read some of the comments, and guys are talking like, yeah, dude, blacks do this. Basically, blacks do this. They get their friends to say that, like, yeah, dude, I live at he house. I help he out when he got to go bathroom. And, then they'll all get, like, they'll max this thing out. You could say, like, yeah, you're just pissed at them. They got the balls to do this thing, and you don't. Dude, I got fucking self-respect is what I got. But, yeah, I guess if you max this thing out, then you can walk out of here, with, like, $9,000 a month. And I'm like, good God almighty, man. I mean, no fucking decency? But the thing with this is that it's almost like this weird balancing act between a government that's trying to rip you off and take as much advantage of you as they can, and the population, which includes a lot of these blacks, dude. They'll come in, they'll do 4 years, and then swear to God they've got, a bulged disc and carpal tunnel syndrome. And, dude, there are doctors out there that'll do it for you. Oh, yeah, he's got this, that, and the other. He's got numbness in his legs. He can't fucking walk. He's X, Y, and Z, carpal tunnel. And they'll fill the shit out for you based on literally fucking nothing. Kind of the way that it goes, man, for dudes that don't know, if you come at this thing honestly, you're going to get broken in half, dude. You're going to get dick. You're going to get nothing. You're going to walk out with nothing. So I could tell you, man, after 20 years of being an operator, is my own thing, like how it went down and how the thing kind of goes generally, because a guy had asked about this. I'll tell you real quick. 20 years as an operator, man. And I got out and I went in there, and you do your get out exam, your separation exam. And like when you come in, there's a whole dick dance to it, man. And you spend the entire day there at the military entrance and processing facility. You spend the entire day there, and they're checking out every aspect of you. Do your eyes work? Let's x-ray your chest. We're going to do an EKG, listen to you breathe. You're going to hop up and down. You're going to squat all the way down, bend forward, bend back, shoulders up and down, all this stuff, dude. You're going to make sure everything works right. It's like getting a rental car, dude. Like, I want to make sure this thing is spotless because I don't want to have to pay for shit, right? So they're all over you, man, and you spend the entire day there. And then it's the next day when you start, like, wrapping up paperwork and stuff, like you're going to be in this thing. So they're going to spend the whole day on this. But now when you get out, it's like quick. And part of what they do is they'll go through your medical record. So, like, what complaints or injuries or issues did you have while you were in? So in the special operations scene, if you spend too much time in medical, that's going to be like, okay, well, we got to pull you out, like pull you off of operational status because you're all fucked up, apparently. Now, if you can't be an operator, then any of them specialty pays that you get, you're not getting that shit no more. So it becomes an issue. Plus, if you're not out there hustling, you're not going to get promoted either. Because, like, what the fuck have you done? Nothing, dude. You're fucking broke. So it's going to really hit you in the pocketbook. So a lot of times even guys are fucked up. They're like, dude, fuck it. I'll heal up on the road, dude. I'll fix it as we go. Or you just sit out a few runs or something. And, guys will try to work with you and like, all right, man, I'll like take today and tomorrow off because you've done this shit before, but I need you fucking fixed, bro. I can't hide this forever. You're like, all right, no problem. But so you won't go to fucking medical. Guys don't go to medical. But they'll look at your record then, and whatever you do have in there, they'll be like, okay, you got this. Okay, we'll focus on that. Okay, and they'll just kind of make a couple of notes real quick and send you right out the fucking door. You go to your fucking exam, and it's going to be, dude, I think mine was like maybe 10 minutes, maybe. Like listen to your chest real quick. Bend your shoulders like this. You good? Okay, sit over here. Bend your leg like this. You good? All right. Bend forward, bend back. You good? All right, get out of here. And I'm like, what the fuck? Is that it? And like, yeah, you're good. I'm like, what do you mean I'm fucking good? And like what they don't tell you is like, no, you got to walk in there, and as soon as you feel it, like, oh, bro, that's a little uncomfortable. Like just a little uncomfortable. Because normally you're fucking working, and it's like, dude, I'll bend myself in half if I got to. I got to fit into this thing, fit through that thing, climb up that thing. You make it fucking happen, guy. I'm not running a soup kitchen over here. So you make this shit happen. But now you go in here, what they don't tell you is like you're supposed to tell them when it starts to hurt. Like, oh, I thought it was just, to see if I can move, if I'm alive. Like, no, dude, this is your fucking exam, dickhead. So I do that thing, and I'm like, okay, well, I probably fucked that up. I'm going to have to get help. And now you wait, so you're going to wait, and the VA is going to look through your shit again, and they're going to send you a decision. They're going to give you a rating. So I got out at 20 years, dude, 20 years of doing this shit, and I got 20%, which is nothing. So you're going to get retirement money, and the way it works is like you can get retirement money or you can get disability money, which if it's less than 50%, then you cannot have both. If it's more than 50%, then you get what they call concurrent receipt, and you can have both retirement and disability. So when I got out, then I got 20%, got rated at 20%, and I was getting retirement money. So because I got divorced in California, where military retirement is viewed as property accrued during marriage, that was divisible. That's divisible in the state of California. So I did 20 years of this shit, dude, and I was getting about $1,000 a month. And that was fucking it. That was, thank you, here's $1,000. I'm like, how am I supposed to fucking live, dude? Get a fucking job, you fucking turd. You dirtbag motherfucker. What is this fucking free ride over here? I'm like, you got to be kidding me, man. So that was how I got down. So what I find out then is like, no, dude, you don't got to lie, but you're supposed to tell them, like, where does it start to fucking hurt? I'm like, does anything hurt with you? Do you take Motrin or any of that shit every day? I mean, yeah, I take something every fucking day. This is back when I still took that shit. And guys are like, you got to stop taking that shit. When you go back in there, get looked at again. Because I had a bunch of stuff that's rated 0, like basically everything rated 0. Because I had dinged something like at every point, at some point in my career. You got to go in there, like you fall on your shoulder, go get it looked at. They're going to document this fucking thing. You do this shit, go get it x-rayed, make sure it's not broke. So you're going to have shit that's in there, but it'll just get rated as 0, as like nothing. It's like, all right, bro, you're going to have to go back in there and get looked at again. Essentially, you get it figured out where like you got to do all this dick dancing. And eventually, if you are fucked up enough, you can get to 100. But the way that it works, and here's where some of the trick fuckery comes in, is that say you're real fucked up. Like you say you fall and you fuck your back up. And they say, yeah, your back, we're going to rate that at 50%. Okay. And now say you fuck up both your knees. We're going to rate one at, 20%. And the other one at 20%. So you might think you got a back that's 50%, a knee that's 20%, another knee that's 20%. Now say you got maybe each shoulder is 10% because they're not that bad. They're a little fucked up, but not that bad. Say each shoulder is 10%. You might think back, knee, shoulder, that should be 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. I should be 110. That's 110%. I should be at 100%. I'm getting like some respectable money, a few benefits from the state and shit. No, you're not. The way they do the math is you take your biggest thing, 50%, your back's all fucked up, 50%. Okay, well now you're only 50% of a man, right? So what's your next thing that's fucked up? One of your knees, say that's 20%. Okay, but 20% of 50 is what? It ain't 20, all right? It's like 10. So now that's just 10. And now you're at 40%. So what's the other knee? Well, that's 20%. Okay, yeah, but you're only 40% of a man. So what's 20% of 40? Oh, fuck. So you start seeing real quick where like the trick fuckery. So you're going to have to be like 200 and something percent fucked up before you start looking at 100% disability. So guys can fucking grind this thing out, and like, guys will just give up, and that's what they're counting on. Both the time that you got to invest or just guys fucking dying. And like, dude, I'll be, 90 years old before I get this worked out, before I'm ever at 100% hobbling the fuck around. Or like you do get worse, they go back in there and now your knee that was at like 10% when you got out, Now it's 20, 30, 40 years later, and that knee that you fell and ate shit on getting out of a helicopter is like, yeah, dude, this thing's fucked. I can't barely walk now. Okay, well, yeah, we'll rate that at 50% now. Congratulations. Maybe somewhere down the road you hit 100, way down the road, but this is how they save money. So the thing is, now you don't find this shit out. Like, they don't tell you any of this shit. They will not tell you this shit. You got to find this out from other dudes. And unlike like a wife Gestapo, guys don't go around sharing this shit so much. Guys will hook themselves up and then like fuck off down the road. But you got to find these things out. So that was one thing to find out. And then the other thing that I found out, and man, it was so bizarre when I found this out. The deal is called combat-related special compensation. The idea here is that if you're retired, and only if you're retired, if any of your injuries are related to combat or simulated combat, so even if you never actually went to war, right, but you're fast roping and you're doing all this shit and you fuck yourself up, and like, well, I wasn't actually in combat, but I was practicing for going to combat. And the way this shit goes is like when you're training for this shit, like you can't stop and say like, oh, bro, I twisted my ankle getting into the helicopter, or I slipped and fucked up my elbow getting into the helicopter. They're not going to fucking stop and land the helicopter so you can like, okay, let that guy out. He's a little fucked up. Go get looked at. You're going to fucking do this thing, man. You're going to get on that fucking rope and you're going down that fucking thing. So say you like slip and trip and fuck yourself up getting into the helicopter, you're getting on that fucking rope. You figure it the fuck out. You get down there, you'll probably eat shit at the bottom. A lot harder than you would have, because most people do eat shit at the bottom. And you can eat shit. Maybe you hurt yourself doing that too. This is going to count as like simulated combat. So what happens then, whatever percentage of your injuries can be attributed to combat or simulated combat, that's going to come from a special pot of money. Like your retirement money is going to get replaced. So if you say like, if they figure out that like half of your injuries, like your back and your knees, are from combat, simulated combat, then they're going to say, okay, well, instead of paying you some extra money, which they don't have, they're going to make half of your retirement is now tax-free. It's going to fall under this CRSC, combat-related special compensation pot of money. So that's going to come from somewhere else. What's fucking sweet about this? So like, this is why I'm telling you this. Like, you got your retirement money, right? And that's going to be taxed as income. So it's taxed as income, right? But if you get divorced, which 90% of dudes in that business do, now it's property. So your ex-wife is going to be taking half of that. Thanks, dickhead. But whatever you get, that's still going to get taxed. So, you figure it out. But what's super fucking cool about this CRSC deal is that it's a different pot of money. It's a different thing. It replaces your retirement. This is not retirement. This is compensation, combat-related compensation, right? So for one, it's not taxed. It's tax-free, which is fucking sweet. Two, and way, way cooler, is that it's not divisible. This is not something that your ex-wife had a hand in earning. Not that she had a hand in earning your retirement money anyways, but what they're going to say here is like, no, this is something completely different. This is because this guy is busted up. This is a little extra money for getting busted up in combat or simulated combat, and it's going to replace his retirement money, and you can't have any of it. So, dude, I got this, and I was so fucking pumped, man. So I got my disability money straightened out. Because I'm not super fucked up, but I'm pretty fucked up. I got that straightened out. It took me 7 years. Got that done. And then right about the same time, somebody turned me on to this combat-related special compensation thing. But you got to get a phone interview with like a special counselor. And 9 times out of 10, I guess, it's like some guy that somebody else knows, and your name kind of gets passed along. And it's like, why is this a fucking secret, dude? It's like a fucking secret. But the guy that passed it on to me is this real hardcore Bible thumper. So I get on the phone with this guy, and he's like, I understand you're from this community. I'm like, yeah, I got your name from this guy. I'm like, yeah. So are you, let me ask you, are you a believer, Coffee? Yes, sir, I am. So... like, I gotta sing and dance for this idiot. Yeah, man, like me, you, and Jesus, dude. I just need you to fill out the form. Sign the fucking form, all right? Great. I'll see you in church. But this is how you have to do it, man. It's madness. So, yeah, I get this thing signed, man, and it was it was real nice, dude. It was really, really nice to not be sweating the load on like, am I gonna fucking starve? Because there was a while when I had just got out, I was like, dude, I am fucked. I am well and truly fucked. I don't know how I'm gonna get by. But yeah, I got that turned on, which means like, hey, ex-wife, say goodbye to, you know, the money you were getting. Goodbye. See you later, stupid. Yeah, that's just kind of how that thing goes, man. So that brings me to the last couple things I wanted to hit on. Before I hit that, I want to remind you, for all your coffee needs, to hit up Above Time Coffee. It's a white company making a product for white people. Put it in a cup, put it in your mouth. It's for you. Get it at AboveTimeCoffee.com. They don't pay me. I just shill. It's good stuff. The other thing I want to hit on, if you want to hassle me, man, you can hit me up on the gram at niceguy.coffee. Or you can hit me up on Telegram at t.me/theabusehour and associated chat. If you want to kick down, there's a link below or some kind of thing to buy me a coffee, buy coffee, a coffee. Don't feel pressured, but if you're into it, and if you want to kick in $5 a month, you can join the Abuse Hour Goon Squad. So moving on, man, one of the things I promised was a guy had hit me up, asked if I had ever sent a steak back for being too rare, and I will tell you that I have not. I think I did tell a story on here one time before about a situation where I went out to meet a new client in, it was like in the middle of the country at a very, very remote spot where there's a lot of, how can I say, man, like government contracted organizations, not like intel organizations, but yeah, man, like government related organizations. And there's all these nerds, dude, all these scientists, like just in the middle of nowhere doing their thing, doing nerd stuff. And we meet this guy, and he's a nice enough guy, and he's going to take us out to dinner, takes us to a real nice place. I asked him if they know how to do a steak Pittsburgh style. Oh, yeah, sir, absolutely. We know what we're doing in here. Where's a steak restaurant, I tell you? Okay, guy brings me like the bottom of a shoe. It was so rough, but I didn't know this guy at all, the client that we're sitting with. Never met him before, trying to make a good impression. I don't want to be a dick and start sending things back, you know. So I'm like just powering through this thing. And two, I don't want anybody to see it on my plate. Like, what kind of dickhead orders a well-done steak in a place like this? So I'm like, yeah, I'm just going to power through and get this thing over with. And I'm about done with the thing, just gutting it out. Like, I'm not even talking. I just want it to be over. And the guy's wife looks at me and is like, well, you really like that steak, don't you? I'm like, oh, yeah. I'm loving this. This is amazing. Yeah, thanks so much for bringing me here. Good thing I'm getting paid. Anyway. Yeah, I was going to tell a couple other steak stories, though, because I already told that one, but these are actually much, much better. So I will tell you 3 stories. I'll tell you about the first good steak that I ever got. I'll tell you about the best steak I ever got. And I'll tell you about the most consistent steak place I've ever been. So I'll tell you what, like, I'm not really like such a steak kook. Like, I'm not such a weirdo, man. I like a decent steak. What do you fucking want? And I think it's something men can talk about. We can talk about steak here, right? But the first time I ever got a decent steak, dude, like growing up, like, dude, my poor dad, the poor guy, he's a good dude, and he'll claim to like a steak, and he'll claim to like a lot of food, but this guy can't cook, this poor guy. And this guy would always buy these London broil steaks. When I was a kid, he'd buy these London broil steaks, which if you've seen, it looks like, it's like a giant foot, dude. And there's no fat in it, no nothing. And this guy would get this thing, and he would just poke it. Like, he'd get at it with a fork, and I don't know if he thought he was tenderizing it, or I don't know what he thought he was doing. He poked the shit out of this thing. He's just stabbing the shit out of this steak. And then he'd have this marinade that he would do with, like, soy sauce and some kind of shit beer. Like, he also drank really shitty beer, like Meisterbrau, this kind of thing. Poor guy, man. He didn't know from a good beer, this poor guy. But so he'd do this, and then he'd have this, he had this grill that he built in the backyard, which this guy could sling some bricks, this guy. And he built this giant brick grill, like really nice product, dude. Like a giant gas grill, like huge brick situation, little chimney and the whole thing. And he'd go out there and he'd throw this steak on, man. And this guy would abuse this steak and do this steak so badly. He'd be out there, man. I swear to God, he'd be out there 20, 30 minutes cooking this thing. And I'm a child. I don't know any different, right? So he's out there working this thing. He'd bring it in and he'd carve this thing up. And you're sitting there with shoe leather, dude. It's cooked all the way through. And I was like, God damn, And every time this guy would be like, oh, guess what? I'm going to make some steak tonight. And I'd be like, fuck, great. You know, I'd wonder, man, because I'd hear people talk about, like, I'm going to go out and get a good steak dinner. I'm like, why the fuck would you do that? That sounds horrible. I've had steak. I don't like it at all. But, yeah, this poor guy, man. So this one time when I was finishing high school, I grew up in Southern California, and there was this deal where they'd have Disneyland Day. Like, everybody that's from Southern California knows what this is. Like, every year of every grade, there's going to be Disneyland Day. Buy your tickets in advance. You get on the bus. You drive to Disneyland. You hang out all day. Basically, you fuck around with your friends, or you chase down that girl that you're into, whatever. So I had this one girl that I was really into, like senior year. So I got Disneyland Day, I got this girl, and we're going to go there, and like I'm going to show her a good time, man. And we go to this restaurant inside, or it's like right next to the Pirates of the Caribbean ride. So if you've ever been there, you know what I'm talking about. If you don't know, whatever. There's the Pirates of the Caribbean ride, and then everything in Disneyland has its own little like neighborhood, right? And it's cool for the vibe. Like I wouldn't go to Disneyland now because it's all Pajeets and shit, but you go to Disneyland and like everything will have its little neighborhood. So like if you're going to go to Pirates of the Caribbean, you go into like this little French Quarter kind of thing. And they got this restaurant in there. I imagine it's still there, called the Blue Bayou Restaurant. And I had to borrow a bunch of money from my dad because this cheap bastard, like if it's my kid, it's just like, here, man, take a shit ton of money, make a good impression. You know, this motherfucker, like, now you're going to bust ass. You're going to do a lot of work, a lot of slave labor for me. And then I'm going to give you a little bit of money to work with. Thanks, bud. Thanks, big guy. So, thank you, fucking boomer, right? So, I get in there with this girl, man, and we're going to the Blue Bayou restaurant next to the Pirates of the Caribbean. And this waitress is talking about this steak they got, you know, whatever. It's this, it's that, it's this crusted situation. And I'm like, oh, whatever. Yeah, all right. I'll try the special. I don't remember what that girl I was with got, and I don't know whatever became of her, but I got this steak. And I was a little bit iffy anyway because this steak cost me $17. Like I remember this specifically. I was like, $17 for a steak. You got to be out of your mind. I'll try it. Man, I got this steak and I was like, dude, steak is the shit. Steak is the fucking bomb. I'm about some fucking steak. And I was like, that was the best fucking steak. Oh my God, changed my life. So now I go back to the folks' house and I'm like, you keep your fucking your foot, your shoe leather, your beer-soaked shoe leather. I don't want any part of it. I'm waiting. I'm holding out for this $17 Pirate of the Caribbean situation, man. I gotta figure out how they did this. But that was like my first ever decent steak. The best steak I ever had was in Spain. So the work that I am doing, you know, some of this shit, I got flown out to Spain for this deal. And one of the people that was there was this chef. And he's how can I say? Well, I don't want to say specifically where he's from anyway. So this guy, he says, hey, Coffee, do you like steak? I'm like, goddamn right I do. And he's like, there is an amazing steak place up the road. I'm like, all right, let's fucking go. So we're on the southeast coast of Spain, and this guy, it's like, yeah, it's just walking distance from the hotel. I'm like, all right, fuck yeah. So we take off and we walk up here, and there's a whole bunch of the people that we're with there. And we walk up there, and it's this little Argentinian steakhouse. And the guy that turned me on to this is a chef. I apparently, I don't know where or whatever, but he says, yeah, I talked to the chef here. He shows us around. We will come and look. I'm like, all right, fuck yeah. So we go in there, and the guy's showing us around, and he's got all this meat hanging in this place. And he's like, you can smell Coffee, the Roquefort. I'm like, what? The Roquefort? Like, I don't know what you're talking about. But then I look at it and I get a better whiff, and he's saying Roquefort, like, oh, the blue cheese. And this guy's got all this meat hanging, rubbed down with blue cheese. So now you say you want a steak. He's going to slice this fucking thing. He slices this fucking steak, and he puts it out on the grill. He shows us the grill. And the grill is all, like, instead of just, you know, straight, like, rods, it's all angle iron, right? So it's like these little V's, and it's barely tilted. So now as this steak cooks, all the juice and the fat and shit runs down and drips down through this angle iron, kind of runs off like it's gutters. But then there's like a larger gutter at the bottom. And he's mixing butter with all the fat and shit that's in there. And then he's scooping it and dumping it over the steak as it cooks. And I'm like, dude, it's blowing my mind right now. So I was eating this steak. It was the best steak I ever ate. And there was a ton of people. Like there's maybe not a ton, but a large table of all of these people that we're working with there. And I was basically like a dumping ground for all things steak, man. Like, hey, if you've got, anything that you're not eating, man, because you're not small. And these were not big people. I'm like, just send it this way, dude. Just throw it on down here. So I'm pounding this stuff. And then the dude for dessert, he brought out some kind of liqueur, and I've never been able to find it since. And if you know, man, hook a guy up. But it's some kind of liqueur, some kind of after-dinner liqueur. I don't know if it was Spanish. I'm guessing it was Spanish or Italian or Argentinian. I don't know. But it was something like Luminario or Luminaria or some kind of thing. But the little picture is like a little guy doing something and like putting a filament in a light bulb or some kind of a thing. But it was that was easily the best steak experience of my life. The most consistent decent steak that I have ever had is from a place called Capitol Grill, and there's a couple of these around the country. The first one I went to was in Charlotte, I think, and the second one, the other one that I went to was in Providence, Rhode Island. The deal with this place, man, is like a lot of places you ask them if they can do Pittsburgh style, which is like almost charred on the outside, like pretty well on the outside, like almost blackened, but then rare on the inside. You ask a lot of places, can you do this? And almost every place will be like, oh yeah. Like if you tell them, then they'll be like, oh yeah, I think I can do that. Most places cannot. Even like proper steak places, you say like, can you do Pittsburgh style? And they'll be like, oh, yeah, I can do that. And they'll go back there and they'll brutalize this thing and they'll send you out this well-done piece of leather. And I'll tell them, like, can you do a Pittsburgh style, like, well on the outside, but very, very rare on the inside? And they're like, yeah, I can do that. And I'll tell them, like, rare. I can't emphasize rare enough, like blue. Don't screw this up. And they're like, okay. Dude, this place, they've got this Capitol Grill I'm talking about. They've got this ribeye that's got this some kind of a glaze, some kind of a vinaigrette glaze. It is so good, dude. It's ludicrously good. It's got like a little bit of blue cheese and a vinaigrette situation, and then you order the mushrooms and the onions on the side. Incredibly good, dude. Such steak. But yeah, that place, every time I've been there, man, they make a really solid old-fashioned. They make a really solid ribeye. And it's like you cannot go wrong. I've never walked into that place and been like, all right, please don't screw this up. Always top shelf, dude. Fantastic. So the last thing I wanted to hit on, man, though, the thing I wanted to close on then is the idea of breaking contact. And what we're talking about here is how the fuck do I get out of this situation? And what I see, man, what kind of got my brain rolling on this is what I see in Brit-Bong land, basically. Because these poor bastards got disarmed a few years back where, you don't need a gun, Goy. We're going to look out for you over here. You don't need to worry about that. It's safe over here, Goy. Come on. And now you're going to catch years in jail over a Facebook post, like the kind of thing that in any other country there would be a UN resolution talking about human rights violations. But I think it bears a little bit of discussion about breaking contact and when is the right time to go hot and what needs to be your mindset. I think the first thing that needs to be considered is what is the situation? Not what would you like it to be? What are you worried it might be? Not what does it seem like it could become or what do you hope it reverts to or any of that shit. What is the situation? All right. So what I mean by that, I guess, is kind of adjusting your mindset to say that, like, let me say it this way. When I was doing a lot of the shady business that I was involved in, I was in countries where I was not completely unwelcome, but also not especially welcome. Like, there was always somebody ready to take advantage of you. And often as not, there was somebody that was ready to give you an extra hole where you didn't have one before, just for sport. Just because I don't fucking like the look on your face. I don't really know you. I don't fucking like you. So here's this, right? So that could be somebody in the street. That could be somebody coming to your hotel room. That could be as you drive down the road. That could be in the middle of a restaurant. That could be at a spot where you think that, like, I've been here 100 times before and never had a problem, and now suddenly, bang, here's a problem. So that is to say that, like, you don't always got to walk around keyed up, but you do need to heighten your awareness, sort of going around on, like, yellow light, right? So you're not in the red, you're not slugging it out, but you do need to pay attention. You do need to appreciate the situation for what it is. I think the Brit-Bong thing, your country is fucking gone, man. And I want to put this out really for people in America because we're headed that way pretty quickly. And just the demographics that we have, I mean, the Brit-Bongs, they're a little more, how can you say, the slope is a little gentler, I think, just because they have to import the problems before they can enjoy the problems. We already have the problems here, all right? Our demographics here are such that, I mean, you saw this with the George Floyd thing. You spin these people up, they'll be ready to go in 10 minutes, right? They'll burn down Target, before lunch. I guess that is the first thing, man, is that adjusting your mindset that I might have to hustle, I might have to get it on, I might have to break contact, so I need to be ready. So what does that look like? It looks a little bit different wherever you are. So if you're in your car, that means you might have to haul ass. Specific to in a car, that means looking at people that are following you, looking at what's in front of you, looking at where are you going to go. So where are you going to go? Whenever you're in traffic, an easy rule of thumb is always make it so that you can see the bottom of the tires of the vehicle in front of you. If you can't see where the tires are touching the pavement, that means that you don't have room to steer and get away. So if something weird happens, somebody comes up beside you, all you got to do is turn the wheel, hit the gas, and you're out of there. You don't have to fuck around with, I'm going to back up, I'm going to do a little Austin Powers here. You just get the fuck out, right? On foot, that means you walk into a place, start looking at who the fuck is in there, all right? Where are you walking into? If it's a dodgy spot, don't walk into the Middle East market thinking you're going to be cool, thinking it's fucking Pier 1 imports and you're going to do a little man of the world type shit. That time might be over, friend. Especially in Brit-Bong land, okay? You might have it in your head that, like, well, I don't hate them. I'm a friendly person. That's well and good, but they don't feel the same way about you. And it doesn't have to be everybody. You might be good friends with Muhammad, the shopkeep in there. Well, maybe not even good friends, but you might be friendly, yeah? But his cousin who's visiting for the week might not like the look on your face. And it might be after dark. So this is something to consider, right? So, again, where are you walking into? If you do make the choice to walk into a place or through a place, start thinking about, how do I walk out of here? What do I do if things go wrong right now? So a lot of people that I talk to about this kind of thing, they're talking about, like, I don't like to put that kind of energy out there. I don't like to be this way. I'm cool to people. I expect them to be cool to me. Expect in one hand and shit in the other and see which fills up. All right? You hoping that people are going to be cool to you just because you act weak is not going to make the cut. It will not carry the mail. So start looking at, what do I need to fucking do if shit kicks off right now? And not especially like, I'm going to punch that guy, I'm going to stab that guy in the neck over there. No, man. Like, can you see the door from here? Can you see an alternate exit from here? Do the people in here look like they're cool with you being here? Are you picking up any kind of vibe of, like, I don't like that motherfucker? If you're picking that up, don't second guess yourself, right? Like, your lizard brain is telling you that for a reason. Now's a fine time to go. You don't need to hang out in one spot for too fucking long. The last one I want to hit on is at your house, and this is a little bit sticky, but particularly for your Brit-Bong, because as you have seen, these people have no problem just wading straight into your house. Like, right, popping right in, gonna roll you up. You've lost your rights, haven't you? The shit's not cool. So for one, lock your fucking door, all right? I've heard often enough, and usually from boomers, about different places in the country where, we didn't even lock our doors. That's your fucking fault, all right? Lock your doors, lock your cars. Just because somebody is knocking at the door doesn't mean that you have to open it. And if you've got a peephole, you've got some kind of way to look out there. Look out there. If you see the cops, just don't answer it. If they don't see you, you could still probably say, I didn't see them. They kicked the door down, snatch you up. I looked right past you, didn't see you. I thought you were walking off. I didn't know what was going on. Didn't know it was you. My fault. And that'd probably be the end of it. Who the fuck knows, right? But if you've got like a peephole, you look out there and it's John Law, just don't answer the fucking door. Or what do you call, I don't know what they call it in UK, I don't know, Bobby Law? If it's Bobby Law, right, just don't open the fucking door. But Lastly, then, not quite lastly, but second, bolt hole. And this is something, dude, this was something that we, like overseas, you expect it, you know it's a possibility, but it's still extremely difficult to manage. So let's say you have your door locked and John Law shows up to bang you up over a Facebook post, right? And they're going to kick your fucking door in. If you're like, yeah, not today, friend, and you bolt out the back, if you have an out the back, you might need to look at, like, if this happens, what am I going to do? Where am I going to go? 9 times out of 10, they are not going to have somebody back there. And if they do, and if it's one guy, give him crack across the mouth and keep on moving, dude, because the question has to be, is it worth your time, dude? Is it worth 20 months of your life, which is apparently what they're handing out for promoting online hate, yeah? Promoting discontent online on Facebook. If that's better for you, if you're happy with that, then go right ahead. If it's me, quite honestly, you're catching 5 across the eyes, and I'll wait till the stars go down, like on the GTA, and then I'll come back. And if you show up again, I'll do the same fucking thing. Or I'll just move. So this might, in some instances, require that you adjust your lifestyle. Where, like, yeah, this is a house I've lived in for a long time. Maybe it's time to sell, dude. It sucks, I know, and I know that it sucks to have to adjust your lifestyle and all this kind of thing. But when it becomes a question of, do I want to keep living in the same house, or do I want to go to jail because I'm always at a place I can easily be found? This is a question you might have to answer for yourself, all right? So if it means just selling the place, or if it's a rent, just say, okay, I'm moving the fuck out. And I got a medical note from, some fucking doctor. Is it possible to say, is it, I don't know, from UK, but if you've got something that's like, yeah, this guy used to walk to work, his leg's fucked up now. He can't walk that way no more, so he has to move somewhere closer. Yeah, sorry, I got to break this lease. Okay, that's the way that it is. It might be something worth looking at. So what I'm getting at is, one, start learning how to work the system a little bit more like some of these Somalians do, for instance. And two, come to grips with the fact that you might have to crack somebody and move it on down the line. And lastly, I guess the thing I'll leave you with is, it is probably high time, especially if you're in like Brit-Bong land, to start thinking about, where is my line in the sand? Because especially some of these deals where, like, some woman gets raped and then ends up catching more time because she called the guy a faggot or a street shitter or some kind of thing, and ends up catching more time than the guy that raped her. For my money, that government has stopped serving you in every way. That government is not just not helping you. That government is actively trying to hurt you. And if someone's trying to hurt you, what's the right thing to do? Either protect yourself or hurt them first, right? That's where my money's at. So again, a lot of this you could think is easier said than done, but I will tell you, like, as with any kind of evolutionary situation where the system or the situation is changing, your choice really is, like, you can adjust to it and succeed, or you can keep trying to do things your way, the way that you've always done them, and end up getting bit in the ass and end up going extinct. So the choice is yours. So with that, I will leave you to it, and I will ask you to leave this someplace where people can find it, because, as we all know, the world needs more people like us. But until next time, keep your eyes on the horizon. Keep your neck out of the noose. I have been Coffee. These are my takes.